I got one more question for y'all, and it's also on the fatherhood tip too. It is something that Dr. John had said this weekend that kind of had people kind of stuck too.
Yeah.
Is the good old saying, what happens in this house stays in this house.
I knew he was going there, yeah.
And he hit us with the, that's demonic. And everybody kind of was like, I was sitting up front when he said it, but I could feel the room behind me. Like, what did he just say? That's law for everybody. And the way he broke it down and said, basically, so you're telling me that if somebody genuinely did need help and they were in a position to where they were in trouble or in any physical danger or in any mental or emotional danger, that they couldn't reach outside of the family for help, that's demonic. And I was cracking up when he had said it because it kind of reminded me of like the John Chris skit. But what is your guys' take on that? Because I can't speak for any other cultures, but our own, you know, black culture is, hey, whatever is said or what happens in this house stays in this house. What's your guys' take on that? Was it a reach for him to say that's demonic, or was he low-key right?
Why is it so hard for us to get that and understand that those of us that are earthly fathers who would do no such thing to harm our children, how much more does God want to give us the kingdom?
For sure. It's crazy because I've experienced that with my kids, and even now I feel like we're in a position where I'm starting to even experience it with my wife, who, you know, she's an adult, she's her own woman. However, things like I've been telling y'all, we in a tighter position than we're used to, especially than she's used to. She grew up upper middle class. You feel me? Like, I'm used to mom pulling up to the drive-thru like, you get something off the dollar menu, you know what I'm saying? And that just is what it is. Are we eating leftovers? Are we eating rice and beans and chili because this is what stretches, and spaghetti and pasta? But this week, man, we went out. We had a discussion because she was like saying she wanted to go into a new endeavor. You know, she said she's starting to get restless, right? And she's tired of being in a position where she's not contributing financially when we're financially struggling. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting back and I'm hearing from her, and she's come up with. I mean, I truly believe that my wife is talented and gifted enough that if she puts her mind to anything, it can be fruitful. You know. However, I had to ask her. I was like, let's move everything to the side. Let's get straight to the point, the heart of the matter. Is this something you want to do because you're passionate about it? Or is this something that you want to do just because you think we need some money right now? You know? And it was a little bit of both. But when I heard from her, I let her know, like, yo, Ergo literally is right there. We're right there. And instead of us going and taking on a loan to put you through school to be able to go through this endeavor that's going to put more stress on us in this tight time, that's going to take 7 months to a year to accomplish, we could be a couple months, a couple weeks away from Ergo popping. How about you just partner with me? Let's partner. Instead of you going out and doing this thing on your own, let's partner together and come into the Ergo business. You know what I mean? Let's be the woman's face of Ergo. And I'm hearing you guys talk about, you know, our kids, because we all got them, and we see how our kids try to come up with ways, sometimes out of spite, to go do and craft their own way of getting whatever it is they're trying to get. But I'm sitting back and looking at like, man, if you would just partner with me, you know, if you would just partner with me, then we could do this together as opposed to you.
Agreement,
you
know what I mean? Let's come into agreement. Yeah. You feel me?
That's what you're saying, bro. Is like, not only does the word describe our relationship with God as a father and his kids, but it describes it as a marriage.
Yeah.
It describes it as the husband that loves his bride, the church. And I think like what you're saying is it's a matter of two. When we think about like me and my wife getting like to debates about this all the time about like, how would you feel if I made more money than you? I was like, as long as you're submitted, I'm fine. like I'm fine. Yeah. But like all seriousness.
There goes a bunch of people that may have fell off because you said that. There we go.
JR, the demise of the podcast.
Right.
But no, all seriousness though, is like we all have a responsibility of humility to like humble ourselves, especially us as husbands. If we're gonna be good leaders, if we're gonna be the king, priests, and prophets of our home, we gotta be submitted to the will of the Father.
Facts.
We gotta be laying down our lives.
Right. For our families, for our wives, for our families.
Yeah.
And so I have this, it's funny, we talk about this all the time, how akin we are in like everything that we experience.
The seasons of life for sure.
It's like our wives are 1,000% capable to go out there and to get a great job and to do all these different things. And I commend through my own wife, which is like, thank you for trusting me.
Yeah.
Because not only, and this is just like on a practical side, like not only, I think God's going to honor that in our union, but it does something for me too. Like, okay, cool. You trust me in this. Like, sometimes I be down myself. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I ain't gonna tell you that.
Yeah.
But it's just like in those tight situations where it's like, man, how am I gonna make this happen? Well, maybe I need to go ahead and pick up this job and and I'll work extra hard here. And then next thing I know, the order of everything that God has created for me to live an abundant life is all out of whack because I'm the one trying to orchestrate it.
Wow.
Go ahead.
I want to jump in, just like going back to the initial analogy that you brought up, Donald, of just like fighting the fight, right? The person who's in the ring has to be selective about the people that they choose to be in their corner, because the people that are in your corner see things that you don't see while you're fighting the fight. And something that's interesting about Leon Edwards' fight this week was, they had been drilling that he wasn't button mashing. He wasn't button mashing. He knew the combo that he was about to throw. Down, over, triangle. You know what I'm saying? Boom. And the timing was perfect. But he had a trainer who had been training that with him leading into the fight. They already knew the combo. And his brother called it out 5 seconds before he threw it. You know what I mean? So talking about trust, you feel me, and the people in your corner and having that open line of communication to talk back and forth, because sometimes we could be so laser focused, or we can have our eyes on the prize, but our ears are turned off and we're not paying no attention to what the people around us are telling us, and in regards to this situation with our wives who are very capable, like the Bible describes marriage and his relationship with the church as a marriage, but also the Holy Spirit is a helper, you know, and our wives are our helpmates, you know what I mean? So it's like, if we would just communicate and ask for help and talk to each other and share the vision, then as we're going down the road to pursuing the vision, whatever it happens to be, well, we got support right here. And that's one thing that I realized in the dinner that me and Nadia and I had is, man, I need to make sure that I'm constantly revisiting the vision with her, you know?
It's funny that you're saying that, because at minimum, I'm just thinking right now, at minimum, we need to just come to the resolve that we are discussing the vision with our wives at least a minimum of once a week.
Facts.
At least a minimum of once a week. We just need to. We have to, just for the sake of the sanity of our marriages. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, seriously, and intentionally communicating, we need to do that. It's important that we keep the vision before us, right? Because it says where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. And that's what I've found, like, when those tough times come, those tight spots that we're in, my wife wants to cast off restraint. Why? Because I'm in the midst of trying to work the vision, right? I'm in the midst of trying to make the thing happen. I'm in the midst of trying to put in the work necessary to bring things about, while she's a bit disconnected. Even though she's serving her purpose that's serving the overall vision, she's disconnected from it in the sense of like really having the reminder of what the big vision is, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's almost like the fact that somebody is just stuck. It's kind of like here at the Building Christian Fellowship, we're here trying to serve the community of Suisun. Like, we're a church not only in the city of Suisun, but for the city of Suisun. And it's like you being stuck with the children all the time, right? It's serving a great purpose. It's doing everything, but you need to be able to be out in the mix with the rest of the congregation. You need to be out and getting fed. You know what I'm saying, in the main service as well,
right?
So it's like almost like you can get burnt out being back there. And that's what's happened with some people, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing, man, with our wives. Like, they're stuck with the kids, and they're stuck doing the tedious things, doing the thankless jobs.
Yeah.
And we have to be sensitive to that. Again, the whole thing of, I think we talked about this several episodes back, about the fact of, being sensitive to like where they are at, and seeing like when they need those breaks, and like just kind of giving them a disconnect.
Yeah.
But it's we're learning as we go, right? It's watch me develop, right? Watch
develop
me
or die, right?
Or die.
Sometimes you gotta die to develop,
right?
Hey, facts.
This is a really odd turn, but I'm not gonna name any names. But I heard something through the grapevine. It's from an individual that I don't really believe is married or even has kids, but one of the things that he felt like he needed to chime was the fact that he thinks that men should have a certain mystery or power about them when it comes to a family. Do you guys think, and I thought about this.
What?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know either. I don't feel like those are the correct adjectives.
That sounds like somebody that don't even have a family.
Right.
Shut up.
Here's my thought process to you, and this might be something that might not be spoken by every person, but do you feel like the man of the house or the father figure, whoever it might be, do you feel like they should be feared? And I know we're all Christians here, and you might think, yeah, like the fear of the Lord, yeah. But I mean, like, legitimately, like, the people in the house are afraid. You think that should be the role?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. And why not? Because
your house should be a safe haven, man. The world is a scary place. The world is a jungle. There's all kinds of, it's cutthroat. You know what I'm saying? That's the bottom line. And me and Raquel have done our best to make sure that our home is a safe haven for our kids to come through. Because when they go out there to school, and you guys will find this as your kids get older, man, they go out there and they're subjected to so much stuff that don't be popping in our house at all.
Yeah.
And it's so far from it's just so godless and stuff, the stuff that they're exposed to. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about from the place of being prude and like, oh, they heard, about sex and stuff. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like some of you individuals out there that don't know how to raise your kids, and you raising your kids like they're your best friends, and you smoking weed with them, and you teaching them how to objectify women or objectify their bodies as young women and stuff like that. And my kids ain't rocking like that. And so when my kids are out there for the majority of the hours of the day, being in those environments and being subjected to the filth of this world, they need to be able to come home and safely decompress and be able to find some type of solace, some type of solitude. And so for me, I'm not going to, I don't desire to add to any pressure, add any more pressure on them than what's already placed on them by the world's expectations and the things that they're subjected to throughout the day. I'm not rocking with the whole, fearful,
tyrant type
thing.
Yeah. Nah, for me, I do not think that I think love. I was reading this book with my youngest daughter, Bedtime Bonnet, and it was 3 generations in the home. There was the grandparents, there was the parents, and there was the grandkids. In this book, the story that was being told, there was so much love surrounding everyone in the family that I sat back and I thought to myself, like, wow, could I imagine if I loved my daughters so much that they wanted to stay with mom and dad after they had the opportunity to move out? I feel like a lot of times, like when there's a fearful or a fear-driven relationship with parents, when they're able to leave, they leave and they go and do everything that they wanted to do, that you forced them not to do, that you strong-armed them not to do. But I feel like I would have done my job if my girls felt so much safety, security, and not just financially. I'm just talking like the love that is fostered in our home to be like, I'd be cool staying with my parents. I love my parents. I enjoy spending time with my parents. Like that's the type of environment that I want my girls to be in. I want them to want to come back and visit often, you know what I'm saying, and be close and want the kids to have good, close relationships with their grandparents. Like, but I feel like when fear is what's fostered, eventually when they can go, they go. And they wild out. And I have daughters, and I don't want. I don't want that.
My daughters will not be for the streets. But now, the only reason why I bring that up is because of I don't know. You guys are familiar with Jason Williams, the black dude.
Jason Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just him. I've been really appreciating his take on manhood as of late.
Absolutely.
Just him talking about a lot of times we think manhood is strictly defined by just masculinity. Like, you need to be seen as the strong arm, like too tough, no love shown, tough love only shown kind of man. When it's like, no, a man has an opportunity to nurture his kids. That's why I appreciate you sharing what you said about your daughter, because we both have daughters too, is being like, hey, not that it's necessarily about, you being soft, but it's like, no, I can be that and show my daughter how to be loved from her father. And I just really appreciate you sharing that. But I just bring that up because I tend to, when it comes to like the psychology of different things, like especially with fatherhood, especially with, just different things, is like a person that would make that statement, like I had said before, that a man should have a mystery about him or should have some sort of whatever adjectives that he used. It makes me always think like, well, what got you to that conclusion or what got you to that point? And obviously it might be fatherlessness. It might be just a way that things were painted for him, and obviously this person isn't married or have kids, so he has no freaking clue.
Yeah.
But I always try to look at somebody else's perspective and then fortify what I believe to be true. So the kind of thing is like where there might be a contradicting thought to what I believe, I look at what they think, and then I go back to, okay, what do I believe? And it makes me fortify it even more. I know a father should love. I know a father has an opportunity to nurture. I know a father has an opportunity to care and show love in some forms of masculine sensitivity towards his kids.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that, whatever this whole thing that the world is trying to portray what a man should be, I don't know, it's
man,
trash.
just to go on, just to tell you, so to piggyback off of what Dr. John pointed out this weekend, he says, whatever is contrary to what the word of God is demonic.
I had people stuck this
right?
weekend.
Whatever, he's like, demonic ain't necessarily exorcist. It's whatever is in opposition of what God's word says is demonic. And so that statement about the mystery and the fear, and you know what I'm saying, and that within and of, why would he need a person that would describe being a father like that? To me, seems like somebody who has something to hide. Somebody that has something to hide, somebody that is not forthright, somebody is not that's not comfortable with being exposed, and is the direct opposite of what the greatest example of a father we have, who constantly wants to reveal himself.
Yes.
Right? It's a mystery because he hasn't revealed himself, or because we're not placing ourselves in a position to allow him to reveal himself to us, right? That's why it's a mystery.
Yeah.
Okay, but his end goal is to reveal everything to us, right?
Yes.
As the Father, for him to reveal everything to us. That's what he's been doing. It's been a constant series of unveilings, right, in our relationship with him and knowing who he is. And so that's why I say, man, that's completely, I would say, a demonic perspective to being a father or being a head of a household.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
Nah, for sure. That aspect of revealing himself to us, because the Bible says if we draw near to him, he'll draw near to us. You know what I mean? So it's definitely all about positioning, at the end of the day, but with the intent to reveal more. And I think there's a never ending and unending just amount of like how far this goes, whatever it is that you want to know about. Like, I think for my kids, I would love to find out what they're interested in, them come to me about it, and not take them on, said journey, but let them come to me and bring that to me. But never with if the desire is to withhold or keep in the darkness and not no. But if there's light there and I could anything you want to, let's go. Let's travel. Mm-hmm. Let's travel there. I'm 100% for that. But
I had a moment with my grandfather this past weekend. Me, my cousin, one of my cousin's closest friends, and my grandpa went out to the Yuba City versus Vanda game this weekend. And my grandpa's the type of person, he's older, obviously with COVID, because he's elderly, he doesn't want to be around a bunch of people and stuff like that. But
yeah,
he made the decision last minute to say, hey, I want to go. Even though it's 100 degrees, and it's like an hour and a half out there, I want to go. So we had a really good time, man. Praise God, we were in the shade the whole time, even though it was like 102 degrees.
Yeah.
But it worked out. But anyways, what I cherished the most, obviously being at the game with him talking sports, was like the ride up and the ride back. And like you were saying, him being one of the father figures in my life, I've had this conversation with different people where, like, when you become an adult and you look at your parents, you finally get to see them as adults. Like, I'm now looking at my parents and realizing I remember when you were my age. Mm-hmm. And so having these conversations with my grandfather, like, I'm learning more and more about him all the time through relationship and through conversations with him. And I think that those opportunities for relationship is what creates the revealing part of it too. If we're talking about on the spiritual level, the more time we take to be in God's presence, and kind of backtracking, talking about the whole suicide piece we had talked about, is one of the things that I'm learning is that even in our alone time, even in our time to wind down, it's not a time for us to be alone in our flesh. Anytime Jesus went away, he went to go be with the Father.
Yeah.
He went to go be in his presence. He went to go be refilled. And I think that even in those times we need to decompress, and we need to experience peace, and we need to experience joy because we've been beaten down by the day or whatever, that God has that and he can offer that. That if we seek him, he'll give us everything that we need, kind of thing. But I got one more question for y'all. And it's also on the fatherhood tip too. It is something that Dr. John had said this weekend that kind of had people kind of stuck too.
Yeah.
Is the good old saying, what happens in this house stays in this house.
I knew you was going there, yeah.
And he hit us with that's demonic. And everybody kind of was like, I was sitting up front when he said it, but I could feel the room behind me. Like, what did he just say? That's law for everybody. And the way he broke it down and said, basically, so you're telling me that if somebody genuinely did need help and they were in a position to where they were in trouble or in any physical danger or in any mental or emotional danger, that they couldn't reach outside of the family for help, that's demonic. And I was cracking up when he had said it because it kind of reminded me of like the John Chris skit. But what is your guys' take on that? Because I can't speak for any other cultures but our own,
right.
Black culture is, hey, whatever is said or what happens in this house stays in this house. What's your guys' take on that? Was it a reach for him to say that's demonic, or was he low-key right?
What happens in this house stays in this house. I'm sitting back, I'm thinking about it. I feel like immediately when that happens, you're thinking about there's something that you have to, once again, hide, that you don't want to get out, And I think if there's nothing to hide, if you don't have anything to hide, then I don't see what the point in that would be. Now, however, I do think that there are certain discussions that you have to have the discernment to know, okay, this is only for so-and-so's ears. There's private conversations within a family, but I think if it ever came to a point where someone felt like they needed help but could not reach out to the rest of the community, I think that's a little it's a little concerning, because at the end of the day, it takes a village, right? Like, I know for a fact that I'm going to need other women out there looking out for my kids, for my daughters to go and talk to them. I'm going to need other father figures out there to be able to watch and say, hey, you're not supposed to be doing so-and-so. I know your daddy. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like community in that sense, the community that you're plugged in with, should help you rear and raise your children. And if they don't have the ability to talk to anyone else outside of you, I feel like that's a little It's concerning. We had plenty of times. I mean, like any of your boys down, you already know they can holler at me, and I'm going to speak to them in a sense that is A, rooted in the Bible, and B, that gives you honor and helps them see the perspective of a father when they don't understand it. You know what I mean? So, I feel him. I rock with it.
Yeah, I grew up definitely with that philosophy of what happens in this house stays in this house. Now, that doesn't necessarily prevent there being a village to help raise you, right?
Yeah.
Because what happens in this house stays in this house, and those that are a part of the village only see what certain parts of what happens in the house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they can help raise you to a certain extent. However, when it comes to that whole thing of, oh, I know your parents, and they see you doing something, the stuff that they don't know that happens in the house, and they report back to the parents, it can bring about more of what happens in that house that's not
I get what you're saying.
talked about.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that from the perspective of, I grew up in a house where there was abuse. Abuse was regular.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was regular. And for us, you know, it being our dysfunction, it was normalized to us. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is that when somebody might have said, oh, they seen such and such, oh, we seen Donald over here or whatever, and Donald wasn't supposed to be over there, you know what I'm saying, then, you know, I got to deal with the repercussions of that, of what they don't know that happens in the house. So I definitely agree with what Dr. John said because, you know, lo and behold, of course, I raised my family different than the way that I was raised. And not to say that we, you know, are completely free of dysfunction. Like, we're working out and we're very, like, quick to call out our dysfunctions, right? Because you can't help but sometimes carry on certain things that you were raised in, right? That's just a part of what comes along with it. However, we've been very intentional on correcting those things, you know what I'm saying, and eradicating and ratifying a lot of these laws, right, that we grew up with. But for us, we kind of rejected that notion of what happens in this house stays in this house without, like, you know, consciously, like, saying that that's what we're going to do. Because we, you know, just a year ago, we had a situation with the kids. And my thing was, look, man, this is a major situation. I brought in the whole rest of the family, whereas I know that the rest of my family, there's certain individuals that are in my family that had similar situations as far as, like, crisis that have arisen within their immediate family, and they didn't say nothing to nobody. We find out years and years later that this happened, and it might not have happened so bad and so drastically had somebody else been able to come in and pitch in and intervene and, you know, be able to mediate. And so for me, I just off rip, Raquel and I were like, no, we gonna sit down and have a whole family meeting. I mean, the whole family. So call everybody up, rally the troops. This is what we're doing. We sitting down and we talking and just laying everything out in the open. This is what happened. This is what's going on. And, you know, basically the village is going to come together. I don't care how I look right now as a parent. I don't care how I look right now as a husband. I don't care about none of that. I don't care what you think is dysfunctional. My job right now is to expose and reveal this crisis that is taking place because healing needs to take place. I don't want you to put, I'm not going to waste time trying to close this gaping wound with Band-Aids.
Yeah.
I need y'all to come on and bring some gauze and all that kind of. We need to go into surgery, right? And so I definitely agree with what he said as far as that being demonic, because you think about it. Think about that statement. What happens in this house stays in this house. So that means if dysfunction happens in this house, that means it's going to stay in this house. If you know secret alcoholism happens in this house, it's gonna stay in this house. Right? If infidelity happens in this house, it's gonna stay in this house. You know what I'm saying? If abuse happens in this house, it's going to stay in this house for the sake of what? For keeping up appearances?
Right, facts. Or even if we prosper in this house, it's going to stay in this house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
but we don't want it to stay in this house. We want it to overflow out of this house.
Exactly.
I think what you're saying, what I'm hearing from you, what you sharing, Donald, which I agree with, bro, 100%, is there's a level of accountability, there's a level of humility, there's a level of vulnerability, because it's like you and just an example, because I experienced that firsthand, being a part of your blood family, is experiencing that moment in your life. But it's like, not only are you saying, hey, I don't have all the answers and I'm not going to, we talked about isolating personally, but I'm not going to cause group isolation to where, because something might be dying in me, I cause the rest of the people around me to die as well.
Yeah.
It's almost like the whole phenomenon where a fruit is rotting and you put it around a bunch of other healthy fruit and the rest of those fruit rots as well. It's a part of like making sure that whatever's on the inside of you isn't rotting as well, so that your family isn't rotting. So I think that requires you to have, you know, other, as men, as fathers, as husbands, you having other men around to kind of be like, hey, I need something, I need to rub or give you something so that, you know, I can be better as a father. Was I tripping when I did this? Hey, man, it's been really hard trying to discipline my kids. I'm trying my best not to be physical with them, but I don't know what else to do. How do you take it? Men other people knowing you well enough to know, like, hey, like you were saying before, you repeat stuff even though you might not have approved of it. Like, if you've experienced abuse as a kid, then you might end up repeating that because that's all you know how to do. It's like, I need somebody not only to correct me when I'm wrong, but to give me those tools in order how to be a better father and to be a better husband and to be a better man. It is, man. And I think what's dangerous, even in the circle of church and Christians, is trying to keep up this appearance like we have the perfect marriage, or we have the perfect family, or we have, you know, everything all together.
All together, exactly.
I think they're definitely on the flip side of that, where I do believe that what happens in the house stays in the house is demonic. I do believe there are healthy boundaries as well.
Absolutely.
Him saying that, I don't think was a license for people to not have boundaries and just share anything with everybody, because sometimes being too vulnerable to the wrong party can cause some integrity issues.
Pearls, man. You got to keep your pearls, man.
That's facts.
Yeah. I'm a boundary builder. I am. I straight up am, man. Because
out of bounds.
Don the builder.
It was funny because Raquel and I were having that same conversation. She's very empathetic. I've learned empathy from her. I had to learn empathy from her. Whereas before, empathy was not something that I thought I deemed to have, you know, it was not a necessary tool for me.
Right.
And so I had a hard time relating to people. It's like, man, I got these walls, these boundaries. And so I became so, I became so good at building boundaries that I literally dubbed that as my superpower. My superpower is building boundaries. I'm very good at that. That made me really good when I worked in the institution with kids, was that I had boundaries and I knew how to keep my boundaries. That's why you named him Jericho.
Got it.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, facts. But no, seriously, like I build boundaries so well that it also is my weakness. It's not only was it my superpower, but it became my weakness because when I build those boundaries, I didn't build those walls with gates to let people in, right? So I'm either throwing you a rope over, or I gotta cut through the wall to let you in. You know what I'm saying? And so those are the things that I definitely know that there needs to be a balance to, right?
Yeah.
What happens in this house stays in this house. No, that's not how it should be. What is that noise? You hear that?
Train.
Oh, it's the train. Okay, anyhow, I
know
y'all can't hear it, but anyhow, but yeah, man, just like definitely needs to be healthy boundaries. That don't mean like just go air all your dirty laundry to everybody and, you know, just let everybody in your business, because not everybody that's seeking to know your business is there to help you. So
a smile in your face,
all the while trying to take your place.
They backstabbers.
Backstabbers.
That's it, y'all. This is a long one. This is like hour and some change.
Develop or die.
Develop or die.
Get the munch.
CaliFreshPrince.com.
What?
Hey, what happened was ergodog.com. Don't play with your one. Tap in.
Follow us on all social media. Support the businesses too. I know we're gaining a lot of followship, but
oh, there we go. Followship. The followship.
But we I think we're approaching 200 on IG.
Oh wow.
Approaching 100 on YouTube's. So watch out for that, man. I know Instagram and YouTube is offering a lot of like exclusive content too. So I think I'm gonna be looking into that, like utilizing that, because everybody's trying to be the best social media platform. YouTube has podcasts now. Instagram has like a Patreon, more or less. So looking out for that. But in the meantime, we've been Watch Me Develop. I'm John Butcher Jr.
Don the Baptist.
Steven Joshua.
What's happening right now?
What is going on with you, Josh? You're over here tripping.
It's past my bedtime.
Dude over here tripping, man. Hey, Don the Baptist, 1/3 of Watch Me Develop podcast. John Butcher Jr., Steven Joshua Bonds. Watch Me Develop podcast. Develop or die. We'll see y'all next time. Deuces.
Deuces.